The purpose of my speech today is to persuade you to stop drinking bottled water and start thinking about other forms of liquids. I will talk to you about water. What is water? How does water impact our lives? I'll talk to you about the bottled water industry, reasons to drink bottled water, as well as reasons to reconsider drinking bottled water. And I'll familiarize you with other forms alternative to bottled water. So according to the U.S. Geological Survey, water is comprised of 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, and nothing else. Water is considered a universal solvent because it dissolves more substances than any other liquid. Pure water is also has a pH of 7. pH of 7 means it's non-acidic or non-alkaline. And it's the only substance found in all 3 states, the gaseous, the solid, and liquid states, at the same time. Now you should understand that 2/3 of our body is water. 83% of our blood is water. 75% of our muscles is water. 74% of our brain is water. And even 22% of our bone is water. Water ensures the smooth functioning of bodily systems. It keeps the digestive system in order. It flushes out waste. It aids in cleansing skin. And if you need to lose weight, it is said that hot water and lemon will aid in weight loss. And of course, water is essential in keeping a healthy heart. Lack of water is called dehydration. And with dehydration, there's poor blood circulation, and it causes the brain to be less active. Let's turn our attention to bottled water. Bottled water has been around for only about 15 years. Some brands: Aquafina, made by Pepsi; Desante, made by Coke; Perrier, bottled by Nestle. There's Fiji, Evian, and a whole host of brands of bottled water. The reason it's become so popular is because it's very easy to distribute in individual bottles as opposed to 5-gallon tanks, which had been done previously. In the year 2000, about 12 years ago, U.S. consumption was 13 billion liters, or 3.4 billion gallons on an annualized basis. Let's turn our attention for a moment to the positives about bottled water. First of all, the belief is that bottled water is pure. Secondly, we believe that bottled water tastes better. Thirdly, people drink more water, which is good for their health, because it always accompanies them. And lastly, to whatever extent, bottled water is a fashion statement. We like to be seen drinking and carrying around a certain brand of bottle, especially the more expensive ones. So let's take a look at some beliefs. We believe that bottled water is healthier, that it tastes better, it's environmentally friendly, and we believe that enriched water is healthier. Here are some facts for you. Bottled water is not healthier than tap water. As a matter of fact, so much of bottled water is actually tap water that has been filtered and minerals have been added to it. If you take a look at the bottled water that you drink, invariably you will see, although this is Desante, this is bottled in the source in the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains of Nirvana, of Freeport, New York. So this comes from A&P, but most bottled water is actually tap water that has been filtered and minerals have been added. As a matter of fact, it's the minerals that give bottled water taste. Bottled water is supervised by the FDA. The FDA is the Food and Drug Administration. Tap water, on the other hand, is regulated by a more stringent EPA regulation. Secondly, there's this notion that purified water actually tastes better. The fact is, the purest form of water is something called distilled water. And what is distilled water? Distilled water is water that you can buy in the supermarket, and it's used to put into irons when you iron. Why is it put into iron? Why do you need distilled water in irons? Because if it's not distilled water, it leaves mineral deposits, and after a while you just have to throw away your iron. So the purest form of water is distilled water. How do you make distilled water? Well, you take water, you boil it. And above the pot, what you will take is a piece of glass at a 45-degree angle, and the water condensates against the glass and drips down. What's left in the pot are the minerals. So what's in here is pure water. What's left behind are the minerals. And it's those minerals that give water taste. If you've ever tried it, you might find that it's very flat tasting. It actually has no taste whatsoever, but then again, it has no impurities, no chemicals, no minerals in it either. How do you add flavor to water? Well, you could add sodium, calcium, magnesium, and chlorides. Tap water, just because it has to come in and be more pure, has chlorine in it. If you find that problematic, all you really have to do is fill up a bottle, let it sit in the refrigerator for 12 hours, and it'll just dissipate into the atmosphere. Now here's an interesting fact. Over the years, they have done taste tests comparing all forms of bottled water with New York City tap water. There's no question that New York City tap water comes out up on top 80 to 90% of the time. It's wonderfully pure. Why? Because it travels from the Catskills 90 miles to get into Manhattan. It travels from the Catskills where they have the reservoirs. It travels underground in tubes. And it tastes wonderfully. If you go to eat in a restaurant and they offer you a bottle of water, you say, no thanks very much, I'm going to have tap water. Next, there's the belief that enriched water is better for you. According to the NYU professor of nutrition, the amount of nutrients contained in enriched water is minuscule to none. Hardly makes a difference. And it contains sugar, and it contains calories. As a matter of fact, it's got more calories in it than does diet soda. Some believe that bottled water is good for the environment. Fact of the matter is, it's horrific for the environment. Yes, it can be recycled, but studies have shown only 14% of bottled water containers are recycled, which means 86% fall either into the landfills or into the ocean. Fact of the matter is, we don't need to recycle plastic. We'll never run out of plastic. As long as we make oil, we'll have plastic, because plastic is a byproduct of making gasoline. These eco costs of making bottled water, first of all, there's the manufacturing, next is the storage, and lastly is the distribution. Where does Fiji come from? It comes from halfway around the earth. They manufacture the bottles in China. They get shipped to Fiji where the bottles get filled, and then those bottles travel either by air or by ship to come to the United States. A huge waste of energy. What might be some alternatives to bottled water? Well, my suggestion is you take your existing bottles of water and you just refill it with tap water. It's better tasting, it's pure, it's better for the environment, and you know what? If you put it into a bottle of Fiji water, you'll look just as